Have you ever been the person who listens, absorbs, and comforts, only to be met with envy, distance, or unexplained resentment from the very people you tried to love? This is the silent struggle of an empath. You shine naturally, you care deeply, and that light you carry, it draws people in. But not all of them come to celebrate you. Some come to use you. Some come to mirror their own inadequacy in your reflection. And others come to resent you quietly, never saying it out loud, but showing it in every passive-aggressive word, every subtle jab, every moment they dim your light just enough to feel taller. In this video, we're diving into a powerful truth: why empaths attract people who secretly resent their light. We'll explore how your energy awakens what others suppress, and why that makes you both magnetic and misunderstood. If you've ever felt drained, unappreciated, or like your kindness became a target, this message is for you. Because it's time to protect your light and stop apologizing for being exactly who you are. The empath's gift. Being an empath is not just about feeling things, it's about feeling everything. Deeper than most, louder than most. Empaths are not just sensitive people, they are emotional antennas. They absorb the unspoken pain, the hidden joy, the buried anger, and the unexpressed emotions of everyone around them. This is both a beautiful blessing and a heavy responsibility. It's not something you choose, it's who you are. Empaths walk through the world like emotional sponges. When someone is hurting, even in silence, the empath feels it like a ripple in the atmosphere. When someone is lying, their energy gives them away, even if their smile says otherwise. You don't need words, you don't need explanations. You just know. It's an intuitive gift, something that cannot be taught or forced. It comes from within, from the soul. But here's what most people miss. That gift, the deep empathy, the soul-level understanding, it is a form of light. It is a glow that draws others in. People feel seen in your presence. They feel understood, even when they can't understand themselves, and that makes you magnetic. People come to you not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Your very essence brings peace, comfort, and clarity. You shine a light into places most people keep hidden. You remind them of their humanity. You reflect the parts of them they try to bury. And while some are grateful for this, others aren't. Some people come into your life because they're drawn to that light, but they're not ready for it. Your presence makes them feel something they've spent years trying not to feel. You stir emotions they've tried to numb. You open emotional doors they thought were locked for good, and that's where the tension begins. You see, empaths don't just heal people, they trigger people, not by doing anything wrong, but by being everything others have avoided becoming. Your sensitivity, your openness, your honesty, they are like spotlights in a world of shadows, and some people aren't ready to be seen. They're not ready to be real. So instead of embracing your gift, they reject it. Instead of honoring your heart, they question your intentions. Instead of appreciating your light, they resent it. But here's the truth. Your empathy is not weakness. It is your strength. It's what sets you apart in a world that desperately needs more connection. And though it may draw people who secretly resent what you carry, it will also attract those who cherish it. The ones who don't just take from your light, but who reflect it back to you. Never let the wrong ones make you doubt the gift you've been given. You are light. You are love. And the world is better because you feel so deeply. Never forget that. Light always draws attention. Light doesn't ask for attention. It simply exists, and yet it commands it. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, it doesn't beg to be noticed. But the moment it appears in a dark place, everything changes. It reveals what was hidden. It exposes what was lurking. It softens what was hard. And it makes people look, even if they're not ready to see. Empaths are light in human form. They don't enter a room with ego. They don't seek to overpower. They don't need applause or validation. But the moment they show up, people feel them. It's not about volume. It's about vibration. Their energy speaks before their mouth ever opens. But here's what most empaths don't realize. Being light in a dark world means you will be noticed, and not always in a good way. Just like moths are drawn to the flame, people are drawn to your presence. Some are inspired by it, some feel safe in it. But others, they feel exposed. Your light becomes a mirror. and not everyone is ready to look at what's staring back at them. You see, the empath doesn't have to say a word to make someone feel inadequate. Their authenticity alone reminds others of the masks they're wearing. Their kindness reminds others of the hardness they've developed. Their peace becomes a silent challenge to someone else's chaos. And instead of seeing you as a guide, they begin to see you as a threat. Why? Because your presence forces them to confront parts of themselves they've ignored. And let's be honest, facing yourself is hard. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. So instead of growing through that discomfort, many choose the easier path: resentment. They begin to find reasons to criticize you. They pick at your flaws. They question your motives, not because you're doing something wrong, but because they don't understand how you can be who you are. They don't know how to love like you. They don't know how to or feel like you. And deep down they wonder, what's wrong with me that I don't carry what you do? It's not that they hate you. It's that they hate how they feel when they're around you. They feel inferior, small, exposed. And because they haven't learned to process that pain, they deflect it onto you, quietly, subtly, sometimes with fake praise, other times with sarcastic jabs, often with silence that carries more weight than words. But let me remind you of this. It is not your job to dim your light so others can feel comfortable in their darkness. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to illuminate. If your light makes someone squint, that's not your fault. It's their opportunity to adjust. So shine anyway. Keep glowing, because in the end, even those who secretly resent your light still need it. And one day, they might thank you for being brave enough to keep shining. Your energy exposes their wounds. One of the most uncomfortable truths empaths must learn is this: your energy doesn't just comfort people, it exposes them. And not because you try to, not because you're judging, and not because you're trying to play therapist. It's simply what happens when light walks into a room full of unhealed pain. Your presence is pure, your heart is open. You carry sincerity in a world where most people hide behind filters, sarcasm, and carefully built facades. That kind of energy doesn't just exist, it reveals. And people who have spent years burying their wounds, avoiding self-reflection, and numbing their truth feel vulnerable in your presence. Not because you've said anything, but because they feel something shifting inside them when you're near. Have you ever noticed how people randomly confess things to you? How they start crying mid-conversation? How they tell you their life story and say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this." That's because your energy doesn't just listen, it disarms. You create safety, and when people feel safe, the masks start to fall. The armor slips, the pain leaks out. But here's the hard part. Not everyone wants to be exposed. Some people would rather wear the mask forever than face what's beneath it. When you shine your light, they don't see hope. They feel threatened. Because your energy reminds them of what they've refused to deal with. Your grounded spirit reflects their inner chaos. Your honesty makes their denial uncomfortable. Your calmness challenges their drama. They look at you and think, "Why can't I feel that way?" But instead of asking how to grow, they begin to resent the fact that you've already grown. They confuse your peace with pride, your self-awareness with superiority, your emotional clarity with criticism. They don't realize that the discomfort they feel around you isn't judgment, it's the truth knocking on their door. And for many, that truth is too much to bear. So instead of facing their wounds, they shift the blame. They start to criticize your vibe. They question your intentions. They label you too sensitive, too intense, or too much. But deep down, they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to their own unresolved pain. You see, empaths are like emotional mirrors. And not everyone is ready to look. You didn't ask to be their reflection, but your energy doesn't lie. You don't expose people to hurt them. You simply reflect what's already inside them. And those who are not yet ready to heal may choose to project that pain back onto you. So remember, their discomfort is not your failure. Their resentment is not your fault. It is simply a sign that your energy is powerful enough to wake up something deep within them. And while that awakening may be painful, it is also necessary. Don't let their resistance cause you to second-guess your gift. Keep showing up. Keep radiating truth. Keep shining that healing light. Because one day, those same people may look back and realize that your energy was the very medicine their soul needed. Empaths often see the best in everyone. Empaths don't just see people for who they are, they see them for who they could be. It's both a gift and a heavy burden. You have a heart that scans beyond flaws, beyond mistakes, beyond surface behavior. You see pain where others see problems. You see struggle where others see selfishness. You see potential in people long before they see it in themselves. But here's the challenge. When you live with that kind of vision, you often fall in love with potential, not reality. You forgive what others would walk away from. You hold on, even when every sign tells you to let go. Why? Because you believe in people's capacity to grow. You believe in their ability to heal, to rise, to become more. You want to see them win, and you're willing to walk with them through the valley to help make it happen. This is why so many empaths end up surrounded by people who secretly resent them. Because when you show up with unconditional love, when you continue to pour into someone who's used to rejection, it confuses them. Your kindness makes them feel seen in a way they're not ready for. Your belief in them shines a light on the parts they've long since given up on, and that can be deeply unsettling. Imagine someone who's lived most of their life in emotional survival mode. Then you walk in, soft, open, loving, patient. At first, it feels like a miracle, but over time, that same presence starts to stir a deeper feeling, unworthiness. They start to wonder, why does this person love me when I don't even love myself? That kind of love can be scary, and if they're not ready to receive it, they will slowly begin to reject you. You may notice the shift, the way their tone changes, the way they deflect your compliments, the way they dismiss your support. It's not that they don't want to be loved, it's that they don't believe they deserve it. And deep down too, that disbelief turns into resentment. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your love is exposing how far they are from loving themselves. This is why empaths must learn a hard but necessary truth. Just because you see the best in someone doesn't mean they're ready to become it. Just because you feel their potential doesn't mean it's your job to awaken it. Some people will take your love and twist it. They'll project their self-hate onto you. They'll lash out because it's easier than facing their inner war. But don't let their pain make you bitter. Don't let their resentment make you cold. Protect your heart, yes, but don't harden it. Your ability to see the good is rare. Just remember this. Not everyone you see the best in is meant to walk with you. Some are meant to be loved from a distance until they're ready to see in themselves what you saw all along. Their resentment is hidden in politeness. Empaths are natural truth detectors. You can feel when something is off, even if everything looks fine on the surface. And perhaps one of the most confusing dynamics you'll ever experience is when someone resents you, but hides it behind politeness. They smile at you, they respond kindly, they even compliment you. But underneath all of that warmth is something colder, quieter, unspoken. Resentment, not loud, not obvious, not aggressive, but present. These people don't come with drama or open hostility. They come with smiles laced with comparison, support that feels just a little too shallow, congratulations that don't quite ring with joy. And as an empath, you feel the dissonance. The words say one thing, but the energy says something else. They act like they celebrate you, but something inside you whispers, this isn't real. This type of hidden resentment is the most emotionally exhausting for an empath, because you're constantly questioning yourself. You wonder, am I imagining this? They're being nice, right? They're not doing anything wrong, but your spirit knows better. Their tone is clipped. Their energy is heavy. There's a subtle coldness in their warmth, and you feel it like a vibration in your bones. The truth is, they don't hate you. They hate how they feel around you. Your light, your peace, your confidence, your emotional clarity makes them aware of everything they've yet to resolve within themselves. You didn't choose to be their mirror. You didn't ask to reflect what they've buried. But your presence does that, effortlessly. And while they don't want to lose access to you, they also don't know how to be fully honest about what they're feeling. So, They cover it in polite tones and pretty words. But energy doesn't lie. It leaks. And over time, that hidden resentment turns into subtle sabotage. They start with holding support. They leave you out of conversations. They forget to invite you. They minimize your accomplishments. They praise you in public but criticize you in private. And worst of all, when life tests you, when you really need someone to show up for you, they don't. That's when it hits you. The connection wasn't rooted in genuine love. It was rooted in silent competition. You were investing in someone who was quietly measuring themselves against you, and every time you grew, succeeded, or healed, it only reminded them of how much further they had to go. But here's the truth you must hold on to. You didn't ask them to compare. You didn't shine to hurt them. You didn't evolve to make them feel small. You simply chose to be your authentic self. And if that offends someone, it says more about their wounds than your light. So don't get caught in the trap of over-explaining your intentions. Don't shrink to make their insecurities more comfortable. If someone's resentment is louder than their love, even when disguised in politeness, believe the energy, not just the words. You deserve real, not pretend. You deserve connections where your light is welcomed, not tolerated. You can't shrink to make others comfortable. Empaths have a dangerous habit, one that's often learned through years of being misunderstood. Shrinking, dimming their light, toning themselves down. Not because they lack confidence, but because their brightness makes other people squint. Their presence makes people feel things, and when that discomfort is reflected back, empaths often internalize it and think, maybe I'm too much. Maybe I need to be quieter, smaller, softer, less. But let's be clear about something. You were not born to shrink. Your light isn't too much. It's just too real for those still hiding in the shadows of their own denial. And it's not your job to water yourself down so others can sip without choking. If someone is uncomfortable with your truth, your power, or your peace, that's their internal work to do, not yours to solve. For far too long, you've likely tried to make yourself more palatable. You've spoken less when you had more to say. You've made yourself smaller so others could feel bigger. You've hidden your emotions so no one would feel pressured to handle their own. But that self-sacrifice doesn't lead to love, it leads to resentment, your own. Because every time you hide your true self to accommodate someone else's insecurity, you lose a little more of your soul. Empaths are conditioned early to prioritize others. You're taught to be the peacekeeper, the forgiver, the healer, the one who always understands. But who taught you to protect your own energy? Who taught you that your feelings are just as valid as everyone else's? Who reminded you that you, too, deserve space, attention, and voice? It's time to remember. Shrinking never saves relationships. It only delays the fallout, because eventually your soul will start fighting back. It will whisper through anxiety. It will scream through burnout. It will ache in your body, in your sleep, in your silence. Your spirit was never meant to live in a cage of someone else's comfort zone. You were created to be expansive, to feel deeply, to speak boldly, to love powerfully. That might intimidate people who are used to shallow connections and fake confidence. But that's not your problem. In fact, your light might be the very thing that pushes them toward their own growth, if they're willing to face it. But whether they choose to or not is not your responsibility. You don't need to make yourself digestible for people who refuse to grow. You don't need to downplay your wisdom, your kindness, your insight, or your boundaries. The right people will not only accept your light, they will be inspired by it. They will match it, reflect it, amplify it. So stop apologizing for being whole in a world that glorifies pieces. Stop shrinking to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Your light isn't the problem, it's the solution. The ones meant for you will never ask you to dim it. They'll say, "Shine brighter, I'll adjust." Some people feed off your light but offer nothing. As an empath, you have a light that heals, a presence that calms, a soul that listens even when words aren't spoken. And because of this, you often become a safe space for people in pain. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone who seeks your light comes with love in their heart. Some come only to feed, to take from you what they cannot give to themselves. These are the energy leeches. The ones who always show up when they're low, when they're lost, when they're hurting, but vanish when you're the one in need. They thrive on your ability to absorb pain, to listen without judgment, to pour endlessly from your emotional reservoir, but they offer nothing in return. Not support, not understanding, not effort. And for a while you may not even notice, because giving is your nature. You're wired to help, to heal, to hold space. You believe that if you just love harder, they'll change. If you just stay patient, they'll grow. But over time, something inside you starts to feel drained. You wake up tired, emotionally heavy, spiritually depleted, and you wonder why. It's because they're feeding from your light like it's an unlimited source. You see, these people aren't necessarily evil or malicious. Many of them are wounded, lost, and unaware. But that doesn't make their presence in your life any less toxic. Some people have never done the inner work to heal themselves, so they attach themselves to people like you, people who make them feel better, even temporarily. And once they've soaked up enough of your light to feel whole again, they disappear. Until the next time they break. They don't build with you. They don't pour back into you. They don't ask how you're doing when you're silent, because your role in their life was never mutual, it was transactional. This is the pattern that breaks empaths down. You begin to confuse emotion, I'll labor, with love. You start believing that it's normal to be constantly drained. You even begin to feel guilty for setting boundaries. But this is where the healing must begin. You're not a lighthouse for ships that never plan to dock. You're not a hospital for people who refuse to take their medicine. You're not a soul vending machine, handing out light to those who don't even acknowledge your humanity. The people who truly deserve your energy will come with respect. They will come with gratitude. They will notice when you're silent, stay when you're tired, and give when you've got nothing left. They won't just feed, they'll nourish. So stop entertaining one-sided connections. Stop confusing access with loyalty. Start asking, who feeds me the way I feed others? Because you deserve more than people who love your light but abandon your darkness. You deserve reciprocal energy, balanced love, and connections that fill, not drain you. Let them go. Let them feed somewhere else. Your light is sacred, and from now on is reserved for those who truly value it. You feel their energy, even when they hide it. As an empath, your gift goes beyond hearing someone's words. You feel what's left unsaid. You pick up on shifts in tone, silence in conversations, tension in smiles, and vibrations in the room long before anyone else notices. It's not paranoia. It's not overthinking. It's perception, intuition, energy. People often forget that energy is the loudest language in the room. You can say, I'm fine, but if your soul is screaming, an empath will hear it. You can smile and nod, but if your spirit is heavy, an empath will feel it. And no matter how well someone wears their mask, an empath will sense when something just doesn't align. That's your power, and also your burden. Because this ability means you're often in emotional conversations you never agreed to be in. Someone walks into a room pretending everything's great, but your chest tightens, your stomach turns, your energy dips. You start feeling off, and you don't know why, until you realize it's not your emotion, it's theirs. You've probably experienced this more times than you can count. A friend tells you nothing's wrong, but something in you knows better. A coworker acts supportive, but you feel jealousy radiating off them like heat. A family member laughs with you, but you sense quiet resentment hiding beneath their praise. And the worst part, when you bring it up, they deny it. They gaslight you. They call you too sensitive, or say you're reading too much into it. But deep down, you know what you felt. You always know. And that knowing can feel like a curse, because you want to believe people at face value. You want to take them at their word, but your spirit keeps whispering the truth, and it leaves you wondering, should I trust their words or their energy? Here's your answer. Always trust the energy. Energy is pure. It doesn't lie. It doesn't need permission to speak. It shows up whether someone wants it to or not. And you, as an empath, are tuned into that frequency for a reason. But don't let this power exhaust you. Learn to manage it. You don't have to call out everything you feel. You don't have to fix what isn't yours. You don't even have to explain your intuition to people who aren't ready to understand it. What you can do is protect yourself. Pull back when the vibe feels off. Step away when someone's smile doesn't match their spirit. Set boundaries when your nervous system is sounding the alarm. Because you weren't put on this earth to constantly absorb the pain of others. You were given this gift to navigate the truth. And sometimes that truth is this: someone may secretly resent you while pretending to support you. And your energy will pick up on it long before their words ever will. So stop doubting your intuition. Stop second-guessing your soul. If the vibe is off, honor that. Protect your peace. Your gift of feeling is not weakness. It's spiritual intelligence. Use it wisely. Your light awakens their darkness. There's a reason why certain people feel uncomfortable around you, why they start acting distant, defensive, or even cold the more they get to know you. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's not because you've changed. It's because your light is waking up their darkness. You see, as an empath, your energy holds purity. You move with intention. You speak from the heart. You radiate a vibration that's honest, healing, and real. And when someone has built their life around lies, suppression, and emotional avoidance, your presence becomes a mirror. One they didn't ask for, but can't escape. You don't even have to say anything. Just being around you makes them question themselves. It stirs up the shadows they've tried so hard to bury. The guilt they've hidden, the wounds they've ignored, the masks they wear to survive. Your authenticity disrupts their performance. And that disruption, it triggers resentment. Because people who haven't faced their pain will always resist those who have. People who live behind facades will always feel threatened by those who walk in truth. It's not your fault. They just don't know how to handle someone who refuses to pretend. You challenge their comfort zone simply by being yourself, and not everyone is ready for that level of realness. This is why, as your light grows, so does the tension in certain relationships. Friends begin to drift, partners feel intimidated, family members lash out. It's confusing because nothing obvious happened, but energetically, everything did. You started to awaken their hidden selves. And that kind of awakening isn't always welcomed. It's often fought. But here's the key. Stop shrinking to protect their shadows. Stop dimming your light just to keep the peace. That peace is false anyway. It's built on silence and self-abandonment. You are not responsible for how your light makes someone else feel. If your growth makes them uncomfortable, let them be uncomfortable. If your truth makes them defensive, let them deal with their own emotions. If your energy shakes something loose in them, that's between them and their healing, not you. Your job is not to dull yourself to accommodate the unhealed. Your job is to shine, to lead, to illuminate. Because in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. Yes, some will resent it, some will reject it, some will run. But others, those who are ready, will rise. They'll see your courage, your clarity, your calm presence and say, "That's what I've been searching for." So keep being the light. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will applaud you. But those who are meant to walk with you won't fear your glow. They'll be drawn to it. And the ones who resent your light, let them stay in the dark if they choose. You're not here to convince them. You're here to become. You can't save everyone. One of the hardest truths an empath will ever face is this: you can't save everyone. No matter how much love you give, how patient you are, or how deeply you care, some people will choose their pain over your healing energy. Some people will cling to chaos even while standing in the presence of peace, and that's not your failure. That's their choice. Empaths are natural fixers. You feel someone's brokenness, and your instinct is to help. You want to pour life into the parts of them they've forgotten. You want to rescue them from their own self-destruction. You see their potential so clearly, it almost hurts when they can't see it themselves. So you stay. You fight for them. You try to love them into wholeness. But here's what you must understand. You were never meant to bleed for people who won't even bandage their own wounds. You can offer someone a path, but you cannot walk it for them. You can hold space, but you can't carry their healing on your shoulders. Some people are not ready to be saved. Some people are attached to their suffering because it's all they've ever known. And for them, your light doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a threat to the identity they've built around their pain. When you try to save someone who hasn't chosen healing, you become collateral damage in their war with themselves. You lose sleep. You lose peace. You lose yourself, piece by piece, until there's nothing left of you to give. And still, they stay the same. Not because you didn't try hard enough, but because transformation is an inside job. and they haven't signed up for the work. So instead of breaking yourself to fix others, shift your perspective. Be the lighthouse, not the lifeboat. A lifeboat jumps into stormy waters and risks capsizing with the one it's trying to save. But a lighthouse stands tall on solid ground. It shines so brightly that it guides others to safety, but only if they're willing to steer their own ship. You are not weak for walking away from someone you love. You are wise for realizing that loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing your soul. There is freedom in letting go of what you cannot control. There is power in accepting that your role was never to save but to inspire. And the people who are meant to be in your life, those who are truly ready, they won't drain your energy, they'll rise with it. Let go of the savior complex. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not here to rescue anyone from their own darkness. You are here to shine so boldly that those who are ready will find their way to their own light. Some will, many won't. And that's okay. Let them go. You didn't fail. You just finally understood. Your love is a gift, not a rescue mission. They'll try to dim you before they heal themselves. When your energy radiates from a place of genuine love, compassion, and authenticity, it forces people to look in the mirror. And not everyone is ready for what they see. You, the empath, become a living reflection of what they've buried, what they've denied, and what they've refused to face. So instead of healing themselves, they try to dim you. Your presence makes them uncomfortable, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you make it harder for them to live in denial. You challenge their shadows simply by existing in your light. And for those who are not ready to evolve, that light feels more like exposure than inspiration. They don't resent you because of something you've done. They resent the version of themselves that they haven't become. So they try to shrink you. They gaslight you, mock your sensitivity, downplay your accomplishments, or accuse you of being too much. They minimize your intuition, twist your words, and make you question your own worth. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to believe them. You'll start to dim your light to make others feel more comfortable in their darkness. Don't, because here's the truth. When someone tries to dim your light, it's never about you. It's always about what your light exposes in them. It's about the dreams they gave up on, the pain they haven't processed, the person they might have been if only they had chosen healing over hiding. Your growth challenges their stagnation. Your clarity challenges their confusion. Your peace challenges their chaos. And instead of rising to meet your energy, they'd rather pull you down to theirs. But an empath's job is not to make others feel better about avoiding growth. Your responsibility is to stay aligned with your truth, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Do not apologize for being a mirror. Do not apologize. Eyes for being awake in a room full of people who are still sleeping. Their discomfort is not your burden. Their healing is not your responsibility. If your light unsettles someone, you are not the problem. You are simply the evidence that change is possible. And that's what truly scares them. It's easier for them to believe that your light is arrogance than to admit that they've dimmed their own. It's easier to call you too intense than to acknowledge their emotional avoidance. Let them. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. You don't need to bend to be loved. Anyone who truly belongs in your life will never ask you to dim just so they can shine. They'll stand beside you and glow even brighter because real connections don't compete. They amplify. So keep shining, keep healing, keep expanding. Let the ones who are meant for you rise to meet you in your truth. And as for the rest, let them sit in the shadows until they're ready to step into the light. Not yours, but their own. You were born to break cycles, not repeat them. Let's be clear about something. You were not born to repeat the dysfunction you came from. You were not placed here to carry the emotional burdens of your parents, your community, or your lineage. You were born to break cycles, and that's exactly why your light burns so bright. Empaths often come from generations where emotions were suppressed, where trauma was swept under the rug, and where no one dared to speak their truth. But you feel everything, you question everything, you dig deeper, you refuse to settle for surface-level living, and that makes you different. It also makes you powerful. You're the one in the family who senses what no one else will talk about. You're the one who walks into a room and feels the energy before a single word is said. You're the one who asks, "Why do we always do it this way?" even when that question threatens tradition. And because of that, you're often misunderstood. You're labeled as the rebel, the black sheep, or the one who's too emotional. But in reality, you are the pattern breaker. You are the generational shift. You are the healing. And that's not a role for the faint of heart. Breaking cycles isn't about blaming others. It's about becoming conscious. It's about refusing to carry the pain forward. It's about choosing peace over people-pleasing, truth over comfort, and growth over fitting in. You're the one who feels the weight of everyone else's wounds, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to transform them. But make no mistake, this path isn't easy. It means saying no when everyone expects a yes. It means walking away from toxic relationships that your former self would have clung to. It means setting boundaries with people who've never had to honor them before. And it often means standing alone. That's why so many empaths are met with resistance, not because they're wrong, but because they threaten the status quo. You can't break generational curses and be universally liked. You can't dismantle dysfunction and stay silent at the same time. Change doesn't happen without disruption. You may wonder why people resent you when all you want is peace. It's because peace exposes chaos, and your refusal to play the same games makes you a target to those still trapped in them. But don't stop. Don't stop standing up for your inner child. Don't stop rewriting the narrative for your future family. Don't stop speaking the truth just because others are afraid to hear it. You were born to be the first, the one who chooses freedom over familiarity, healing over hiding, truth over tradition. So walk tall in your light, even when it feels lonely. Because every cycle you break, every truth you speak, and every boundary you set becomes a bridge for someone else to cross. You are the beginning of a new story, one where love is safe, authenticity is celebrated, and healing is the norm. Never forget this. You're not too much. You're just the first to do what no one else was brave enough to try. You're not crazy. You're just surrounded by people who refuse to evolve. There comes a moment in every empath's life where they begin to wonder, is it me? Am I the problem? Am I overreacting, too sensitive, too emotional? And that moment is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of awakening. But let me make this clear. You are not crazy. You're just surrounded by people who refuse to evolve. You feel the weight of others' emotions. You notice the tone in their voice, the shift in their energy, the truth behind their words, even when they deny it. You're gaslighted not because you're wrong, but because your awareness threatens their illusion. You see what they don't want to see. You hear what they won't say. You notice the cracks in the mask, and that makes them uncomfortable. You are not broken. You're just operating at a level of emotional intelligence that many people have never been taught to access. See, most people aren't ready to look in the mirror. They're not ready to face their wounds, their patterns, their shadows. So when you hold that mirror up just by being who you are, they reject you, mock you, or try to make you feel like you're the unstable one. Why? Because it's easier to label you too sensitive than to take responsibility for the truth you reflect. But don't let their projections become your identity. Don't let their limitations define your sanity. The world doesn't need less of your emotional depth. It needs more of it. It needs people who are willing to speak when it's uncomfortable, feel when it's easier to numb, and stand firm when it's easier to conform. The problem isn't that you're too much. The problem is, they're not ready to meet you where you are, and that's not your burden to carry. You must understand this. When you begin to heal, grow, and evolve, it will unsettle those who are still choosing to stay the same. Your transformation disrupts their comfort. Your clarity disrupts their confusion. Your authenticity calls out their performance. And instead of rising with you, some will try to drag you back down. Not because they hate you, but because they don't understand how to love themselves yet. But don't shrink. Don't lower your vibration to keep relationships that depend on your silence, your compliance, or your self-betrayal. If they need you to be small in order to feel safe, that's not love, it's control. You are not crazy. You're just waking up in a world that's still asleep. So rise anyway, speak anyway, shine anyway. Even when they whisper behind your back, roll their eyes at your empathy, or call you dramatic, you stay true to yourself. Because you weren't born to fit in, you were born to lead, and sometimes being the light means standing alone in the dark until others are ready to rise too. Let them underestimate you. It's the fuel for your becoming. Let them misunderstand you, let them talk, let them roll their eyes, ignore your wisdom, mock your dreams, or call your intuition nonsense. Let them believe you're weak. Let them whisper behind your back, thinking they know who you are based on the version of you that served their comfort. Because in the silence of their underestimation, you are doing something they cannot see. You are rising. Every empath knows the feeling of being overlooked, of having your depth mistaken for fragility, of being dismissed because you don't roar like others. You whisper with power, you sense with accuracy, you feel with purpose. And because you don't scream for attention, they assume you have no strength. But what they don't realize is that your silence holds storms, your stillness holds fire, and your heart holds the resilience of a soul that has survived lifetimes of being misunderstood. Let them underestimate you. It's the greatest gift they'll ever give you. Because when they count you out, they stop watching. And when they stop watching, you grow without their interference. You rise without their sabotage. You transform in peace. They will be so busy laughing at who you used to be that they won't notice you've become someone they'll never have access to again. You don't need validation to become powerful. You don't need recognition to become unshakable. In fact, most of your strength will be born in the seasons when no one believes in you, when it's just you, your faith, your grit, and your purpose. See, the people who secretly resent your light often hope that you'll break under the weight of their silence, that you'll beg for their attention, that you'll dim your glow to be accepted. But they don't realize an empath doesn't crumble in solitude, they awaken in it. Let their rejection refine you. Let their doubt sharpen your vision. Let their silence teach you how to be your own validation. Because when you no longer need anyone to believe in your worth but you, that's when you become unstoppable. The most dangerous kind of power is quiet power. The kind that doesn't need applause. The kind that grows in private, heals in silence, and emerges without warning. That's you. That's your journey. Let them underestimate it. Let them sleep on your becoming. Because the moment will come, the exact moment they swore you'd stay stuck, small, invisible, when you will rise in front of them. Not to prove anything, not to show off, but simply because evolution is your nature and greatness is your birthright. And when that day comes, they'll say, "I never saw it coming." And you'll smile, not with arrogance, but with peace, because you'll know their underestimation wasn't your burden, it was your blessing. So let them doubt you. And while they do, become everything they never imagined you could be, your light will always trigger their darkness, shine anyway. Your light was never meant to make others comfortable, it was meant to reveal, to awaken, to stretch. And sometimes that light will shine so brightly that it exposes the shadows people have spent years hiding. This is the silent reason why your presence as an empath can trigger people deeply, even when you haven't said a word. You walk into a room and people shift. Not because you did anything, but because your energy speaks before your mouth does. You feel the tension. You notice how their tone changes, how the smiles feel forced, how some avoid eye contact. It's not paranoia, it's spiritual perception. They're uncomfortable, not because you've wronged them, but because your light highlights what they've buried. Your compassion reveals their bitterness. Your honesty confronts their manipulation. Your kindness exposes their cruelty. Your authenticity unsettles their mask. Your emotional intelligence reads what they try to hide. And that's the problem for them. You make them see themselves. It's not your responsibility to shrink to make others feel less exposed. Your purpose is not to dim your glow so their insecurities feel safe. You weren't born to play small. You weren't created to blend in. You were designed to light the way for yourself and for others. And while that light may attract some, it will also repel those who fear their own reflection. You will be accused of being too much, too sensitive, too intense. You will be told you're reading too deeply into things. You'll be gaslighted, manipulated, and sometimes emotionally drained by people who resent your power but can't stop being drawn to it. But none of that means there's something wrong with you. It means your light is working. It means you're doing what you were born to do, illuminate. So shine anyway. Shine even when it makes people uncomfortable. Shine even when it triggers silent envy. Shine even when it means standing alone. Your light is your truth, and truth always disrupts illusions. You will never be too much for the right people. The ones who are ready to grow, to heal, to evolve. They will find rest in your presence, not resentment. They will thank you for your insight instead of mocking it. They will feel inspired by your light, not intimidated. So don't waste your brilliance trying to convince the wrong people to appreciate you. Instead, keep showing up in your fullness. Keep radiating love, truth, wisdom, and empathy. Keep speaking even if your voice trembles. Keep healing even when you're still wounded. Keep being exactly who you are, because the world doesn't need more people pretending to be okay. It needs more people brave enough to be real. Let them be triggered. That's their soul being shaken awake. And if your light sets them on the path to healing, then even their resentment served a purpose. Shine without apology. Because the brighter you glow, the more you remind others that they can rise too. And if your light shakes their darkness, good. That's how transformation begins. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be real. At some point, you have to decide what matters more, being liked or being real. For empaths, that decision doesn't always come easy. You've spent so much of your life reading the room, adjusting your tone, softening your words, making yourself smaller just to avoid tension. You've sacrificed your truth to maintain peace. You've kept quiet when your spirit screamed to speak, all because you didn't want to rock the boat. But let this be the moment you stop betraying yourself to please others. You weren't put on this earth to fit in. You were put here to stand out, for your authenticity, your heart, your voice, your truth. You don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. You don't have to win everyone's approval. And you certainly don't have to carry the burden of keeping other people comfortable while your own soul suffocates. Here's the truth. Some people will dislike you the moment you stop agreeing with them. Some will call you difficult the moment you draw boundaries. Some will label you arrogant the moment you refuse to chase their validation. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're finally doing something right. Being real means saying no when your intuition says no, even if it disappoints them. Being real means calling out the energy in the room even when no one else will speak up. Being real means refusing to shrink just so others can shine. And yes, being real means that not everyone will clap for you. But the ones who do, they'll be clapping for the real you, not a performance you've been putting on. Empaths are often magnets for those who want your light, but resent the strength it takes to hold that light. The moment you stop people-pleasing, the mask falls off, and their true feelings rise to the surface. But don't let their discomfort make you question your growth. You are not here to carry everyone's emotional weight. You are not responsible for how others perceive your healing, your boundaries, or your growth. You are here to honor your spirit, to follow your truth, to walk your path, even if it means walking it alone for a while. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need their applause to be valuable. When you start living authentically, you'll begin to attract those who see you clearly and love you deeply. No conditions, no performances, no masks. And for those who fall away, bless them. They were only holding space in a story that's no longer yours to carry. Stop waiting to be liked. Start choosing to be real. Because the people who truly see your soul will never ask you to dim it. And in the end, being real will always feel better than being liked for who you're not. You were born to heal, but not to bleed for everyone. Empaths have the innate ability to sense the pain that others hide. You walk into a room, and without a word being spoken, you feel everything. The heartbreak, the tension, the quiet cries behind forced smiles. It all finds its way into your awareness. And because of your deep capacity to care, you often become the healer, the one who listens, who stays, who fixes, who carries what was never yours to carry. But let me be clear. Just because you have the ability to heal others doesn't mean it's your responsibility to bleed for them. Too often, empaths confuse compassion with self-sacrifice. You pour yourself into broken people, hoping that your love will be the glue that holds them together. You give chances when none are deserved. You excuse red flags in the name of understanding. You take on burdens, thinking your strength can absorb what's destroying someone else. And in doing so, you slowly start to disappear. You are not born to lose yourself in the process of saving everyone else. There is a sacred difference between helping and overextending, between healing and enabling, between empathy and martyrdom. Just because someone is wounded doesn't mean they get access to your energy. Not every hurting soul is your assignment. Not every broken heart deserves your emotional labor. The danger of being an empath is that you often feel guilty for protecting your own peace. But listen closely, your peace is not a luxury. It is your lifeline. You can't offer light when your own flame is burning out. You can't hold space for others while neglecting your own. You can't pour from an empty soul. It's time to understand that your gift is sacred and it must be guarded with wisdom. Yes, you are a healer, but even healers need healing. Even givers need to be poured into. Even the strong must learn to rest. So stop letting people drain you and call it love. Stop setting yourself on fire just to keep others warm. Stop thinking your worth is tied to how much pain you can absorb for others. Your soul was not designed for emotional slavery. Your empathy is not a debt owed to those who refuse to grow. You were meant to shine, not to be drained, to elevate others, not to be pulled down by their refusal to heal themselves. Walk away from what depletes you. Choose relationships where your empathy is met with appreciation, not exploitation. Choose people who bring peace, not problems disguised as connection. The right people will never ask you to bleed for their comfort. They will match your depth, your love, your loyalty with their own. You're a healer, yes, but you are also human. And it is not your job to lose yourself trying to fix people who are never willing to fix themselves. Let them miss the energy they couldn't appreciate. At some point in your life, you will pour your whole heart into someone who takes it for granted. You'll offer time, love, effort, and presence to a person who doesn't recognize the value of what they've been given. And when they walk away or mistreat you, you'll be left wondering what you did wrong, why your kindness was met with coldness, why your loyalty was answered with distance, and why your soul was overlooked like it didn't matter. But here's the truth. It was never about your worth. It was about their inability to see it. Not everyone is equipped to receive the kind of energy you bring. Some people are so used to chaos that your peace makes them uncomfortable. Some are so conditioned to dysfunction that your emotional intelligence feels foreign to them. Others are so caught up in their own emptiness that they can't recognize fullness when it's standing right in front of them. And so, they fumble you. They take your love and treat it like it's replaceable. They take your consistency and label it as too much. They misunderstand your empathy as weakness. But here's the thing. Just because someone mishandled your energy doesn't mean you should shrink it. Let them feel the absence of what they couldn't value. Let them sit in the quiet after you leave, realizing that your presence wasn't just comforting, it was healing. Let them scroll through your old messages and wish they had responded with more care. Let them look around at the people who replaced you and realize that none of them come close to the depth you brought. Let them miss the prayers you said for them, the support you offered, the softness you extended, even when they didn't deserve it. And don't you dare chase after someone who walked away from what you gave freely. You're not hard to love, you're just rare. You offer a kind of energy that is not easily found, and even harder to keep. The right person will never make you question your worth. The right person will recognize your light, not compete with it. They won't resent your strength, your sensitivity, or your spirit. They'll respect it. So stop explaining your heart to those who treat it like an inconvenience. Stop trying to prove your loyalty to people who are blind to their blessings. Stop grieving the loss of someone who never truly saw you. Your energy is sacred. Let them feel what life is like without it. Let them come face to face with the silence they created. Let them miss the laughter, the warmth, the wisdom, the depth, because they will. And while they sit in that emptiness, wondering if they'll ever find someone like you again, you'll be somewhere thriving, healing, and finally surrounded by those who do appreciate the light you carry. Let them miss you. That's not your burden to fix anymore. That's their lesson to learn. You can't save everyone, and you're not supposed to. One of the hardest lessons for an empath to learn is this: you can't save everyone. No matter how pure your intentions are, no matter how deeply you feel someone's pain, and no matter how much light you carry, you are not here to fix people who refuse to heal themselves. It sounds harsh, but it's truth wrapped in freedom. Empaths have a natural tendency to attract the broken, the lost, the wounded. Not because they're naive, but because their light offers warmth in a world that can be painfully cold. You see the potential in people. You see their hurt and their patterns, and you believe if you just love them a little harder, stay a little longer, try a little more, you can help them rise. And sometimes you do. But not always, because not everyone wants to rise. Not everyone is ready to face their truth. Some people are addicted to their dysfunction. Some are married to their trauma, and some will drag you down with them just to avoid facing the mirror of your strength and stability. That's where the empath gets caught. You start overgiving. You start abandoning your needs. You lose sleep, peace, joy, all in an effort to rescue someone who deep down isn't even reaching for a lifeline. They're just pulling you into their storm. But hear this clearly: you are not their savior. You are not their emotional rehab. You are not their free therapist, their life coach, their constant source of energy while they give nothing in return. It's noble to care. It's beautiful to love deeply. But self-sacrifice isn't love. It's self-neglect. At some point, you have to realize that your light is being drained, and you're the one allowing it. Because every time you try to fix someone who refuses to change, you are wasting precious energy that could be used to nurture your own growth. Every time you hold space for someone who won't take accountability, you're shrinking your own capacity to receive what you truly deserve. So let them go. Let them figure out their healing journey without using you as their emotional crutch. Let them sit with the discomfort of their own patterns. Let them experience the consequences of their actions. That's how people grow. That's how they learn. And you focus on you. Protect your peace, reclaim your energy, choose relationships that feel mutual, reciprocal, and emotionally healthy. You don't need to feel guilty for walking away from someone who drains you. You don't need to justify protecting your boundaries. Because your job on this earth is not to fix broken people. It's to love, evolve, and shine. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to stop rescuing them so they finally learn to rescue themselves. You can't save everyone, and you're not supposed to. Why they secretly resent you. Here's the truth. No empath wants to face. Some people are not just drawn to your light, they deeply resent it. It doesn't make sense at first. You're kind, giving, patient. You listen without judgment. You love unconditionally. So why would someone be bitter toward the very qualities that make you lovable? Because your light exposes what they've been trying to hide. See, when someone is living in emotional shadows, when they haven't dealt with their wounds, when they've buried their insecurities, or when they're addicted to dysfunction, your energy doesn't just comfort them, it triggers them. Your confidence highlights their self-doubt. Your peace clashes with their inner chaos. Your emotional maturity reminds them of how emotionally unavailable they still are. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's that your presence disrupts their comfort zone. You become a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. People who are not ready to grow don't want to see their reflection. So instead of being inspired by your strength, they quietly start resenting it. They may smile in your face and say they admire you, but underneath there's envy, there's shame, there's unspoken competition. Not because you created any of that, but because your existence pokes holes in the illusion they've built around themselves. That resentment can show up in subtle but destructive ways. They downplay your achievements. They mock your boundaries. They gossip about you behind your back. They roll their eyes when you talk about your goals. They sabotage moments that should be joyful for you. It's not always loud, but it's always there. They resent that you didn't lower yourself. They resent that you kept evolving. They resent that you stayed soft in a world that made them hard. And the more you grow, the worse it gets. But here's where the empath often makes the mistake. They try to fix it. They dim their light to make others feel comfortable. They over-explain their success. They underplay their blessings. They shrink in rooms they were meant to shine in. Don't do that. Never shrink to fit into someone else's insecurities. Never apologize for your evolution. And never confuse someone's resentment for a signal to stop being who you are. You're not responsible for how others feel about your growth. You're not here to make yourself smaller just so others don't feel threatened. You're here to be exactly who you were born to be. Bold, kind, grounded, and full of light. Let people resent it. Let them watch you rise. Because those who are meant for you will never feel insecure in your presence. They will feel inspired. They won't compete with you. They'll clap for you. They won't pull you down. They'll rise with you. Let the resentful ones fall away. Their resentment has nothing to do with you, and everything to do with the parts of themselves they haven't yet healed. Protect your light and walk in power. If you've made it this far, I want you to understand something at the core of your being. Your light is rare, and that's why it's often misunderstood. Empaths walk through life with a heart that feels everything. A heart that carries not just their own pain, but often the pain of others too. That kind of sensitivity is not a weakness, it's a superpower. But like any superpower, it attracts both admiration and envy, both love and resentment. You didn't ask to be the healer, the forgiver, the peace bringer, but you were chosen for it. You were built for it. That is why people come to you with their wounds. That's why strangers pour their hearts out to you. That's why broken souls attach themselves to you, hoping your energy will fix what they haven't addressed. But here's what you must learn. Your gift is sacred. Your energy is not cheap, and your peace is not up for negotiation. You must stop explaining your light to people committed to living in darkness. You must stop bleeding yourself dry, trying to pour into those who resent the very cup you offer. There's a time to be kind, yes, but there's also a time to protect your kindness. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone is meant to walk beside you. Some people were only meant to be lessons, not lifelong companions. And the lesson is this: just because someone needs your light doesn't mean they're entitled to it. Empaths often struggle with this. You feel responsible for everyone's healing. You want to be the safe space, the understanding voice, the loyal companion. But some people will take your loyalty and weaponize it. They will resent your strength while pretending to lean on it. They will resent your healing while secretly hoping you stay wounded just like them. You must rise above that. You must discern who feeds your soul and who drains it. You must realize that no, everyone in your circle is in your corner. So here's your call to action. Guard your light with everything you have. Set boundaries, like your soul depends on it, because it does. Stop apologizing for the way you love, the way you feel, and the way you shine. Choose peace over approval. Choose self-respect over toxic loyalty. Choose growth over guilt. Because at the end of the day, it's better to walk alone in your truth than be surrounded by people who secretly despise your brilliance. You are not too much. You are not too soft. You are not too emotional. You are exactly what this world needs. Raw, real, radiant. And if they can't handle your light, let them stay in the dark. You are not made to shrink. You are made to shine. So protect your energy, guard your gift, and never apologize for your light. Let them resent you. Just don't let them stop you.